The Mediterranean coast. 117 AD. The air hangs thick and salt-heavy under a moonless sky. Along the shoreline, torches flicker atop weathered stone towers, their flames dancing in the coastal wind. Roman sentries lean against parapets, half asleep, watching the black expanse of water that has protected their empire for generations. They see nothing. They hear nothing. Until they do. A new sound cuts through the night low, rhythmic, mechanical. A sound that has no place in this world. Two Sikorsky CH-53E Super Stallion helicopters materialize from the darkness, flying low over the waves, rotors chopping the air with a thunder that ancient ears have never known. The guards on the towers freeze, unable to process what their eyes are showing them. Massive metal beasts, louder than dragons, darker than demons, descending from the sky itself. The helicopters don't land, not fully. They flare hard just above a narrow strip of firm ground beyond the beach, rotors kicking up clouds of sand and marsh grass. Before the skids even touch earth, thick ropes tumble from the open doors. 45 United States Marines hit the ground in seconds, boots pounding dirt, rifles up, moving fast and low toward the tree line. Behind them, the helicopters pull up sharply, banking hard over the water, and vanish back into the night. The entire insertion takes 90 seconds. Then silence returns, broken only by the distant crash of waves, and the confused shouts of sentries, who can't even begin to describe what they just witnessed. This team has one mission: take control of the greatest empire in human history. They have no reinforcements coming, no resupply drops, no extraction plan, just what they can carry on their backs, and a strategy that might actually work. This is a sandbox scenario, a tactical thought experiment. We're not wrestling with time-travel paradoxes or the ethics of intervention. We're asking one simple question: could modern military force, applied with precision and intelligence, collapse an ancient superpower before it could adapt? Could 45 men with 21st century weapons and tactics bring Rome to its knees? Let's find out. By daybreak, the insertion site reveals itself in full. The Marines have landed in one of the most miserable pieces of real estate in the ancient world, the Pontine Marshes, approximately 55 kilometers south of Rome. The place is a nightmare. The air is thick enough to chew, humid and stifling, even in the pre-dawn hours. The ground is neither land nor water, but something in between, a treacherous mix of mud, standing water, and rotting vegetation that sucks at boots with every step. Clouds of mosquitoes rise in black swarms, biting through any exposed skin. Malaria is endemic here. Locals avoid the marshes entirely. Even Roman patrols, disciplined and duty-bound as they are, refuse to venture deep into this place. But for the Marines, it's perfect. The reeds grow taller than a man, creating natural concealment from ground level and aerial observation. Not that Rome has any aircraft to speak of. The swamp is vast enough to hide a small force, but close enough to Rome to launch rapid strikes. Most importantly, it's unexpected. No Roman commander would ever consider the Pontine Marshes as an invasion staging ground. Why would they? It's a place of disease and death, avoided by armies for good reason. The platoon commander, a hard-eyed gunnery sergeant named Carver, knows the clock is already ticking. They have perhaps 7 nights before the swamp turns from ally to enemy. Maybe 10 days before the fevers start hitting hard enough to degrade combat effectiveness. They picked this spot because it is the closest viable landing zone for 2 super stallions without triggering every alarm bell in the empire. Landing near the mouth of the Tiber River, the more obvious choice would have been suicide. That flight path goes directly over docks, watchtowers, merchant piers, and naval installations. Hundreds of eyes would spot them. Riders would gallop to Rome within the hour. By dawn, the city gates would be barred, the bridges fortified, and 8,000 Praetorian guards would be mobilized and waiting. The element of surprise would be gone before the first Marine even touched Roman soil. But here, in this forgotten swamp, they bought themselves one full night of invisibility. And they're going to use every second of it. The Marines move with practiced efficiency, no wasted motion. They establish a patrol base deep in the reeds, far from any known Roman paths. The area is swept for threats none found. Defensive positions are quietly prepared. Extra gear is stashed in waterproof bags and buried in shallow caches, marked with GPS coordinates that mean nothing to Romans but everything to the Marines who might need to return. Rations are inventoried. Ammunition is counted and recounted. Batteries are charged using hand-crank generators and compact solar panels that fold out like metallic flowers in the filtered sunlight. Then they launch the drones. 3 small quadcopter drones lift silently into the air, equipped with thermal imaging and high-resolution cameras. Within 30 minutes, the Marines have eyes on everything within a 15-kilometer radius. Roman roads, guard posts, patrol patterns, tax stations, military convoys, supply depots, aqueducts, villas belonging to senators and wealthy merchants. All of it mapped, categorized, prioritized. Sergeant Carver studies the feed on a ruggedized tablet, watching tiny figures moving along ancient roads, completely unaware they're being observed from machines hovering thousands of feet above them. In ancient Rome, this kind of intelligence is impossible. It's godlike. The ability to see everything, everywhere, without being seen. It changes every calculation. The platoon is organized into 3 fire teams, each with 15 Marines. Alpha Team, led by Carver himself. Bravo Team under Staff Sergeant Ramirez, a veteran of 3 combat deployments. Charlie Team commanded by Sergeant Liu, the youngest team leader, but sharp as a blade. Each Marine is fully trained, combat-ready, selected for this mission because they're the best at what they do. Their loadout is impressive, but finite. Each Marine carries an M4 carbine with an infrared laser designator, holographic sight, and suppressor. Backup is an M18 modular handgun system sidearm. They're equipped with M320 grenade launchers mounted under the rifles, capable of launching high explosive, smoke, or illumination rounds out to 350 meters. C4 plastic explosive, enough to bring down bridges or blast through stone walls. Flashbang grenades for close quarters shock. Smoke grenades in multiple colors for signaling and concealment. Night vision goggles that turn darkness into green-tinted daylight. Personal radios for secure communication. Combat knives, medical kits, zip ties for restraining prisoners. But supplies are desperately tight. Each Marine carries only 3 days' worth of MRE's meals ready to eat. 9 30-round magazines for the rifle, 3 15-round magazines for the sidearm. That's 315 rounds total per Marine. It sounds like a lot until you do the math. 45. Marines times 315 rounds equals just over 14,000 rounds for the entire platoon. In a sustained firefight against waves of Roman soldiers, they could burn through that in hours. Battery life is equally concerning. Night vision goggles drain power. Radios need juice. Drones can't fly without charged batteries. They have solar panels and hand-crank generators, but recharging takes time they might not have. If the batteries die, they lose their most critical advantage, the ability to own the night. The goal is crystal clear. Hit Roman leadership before they even understand what's happening. Do and hold ground. There is no way 45 men can occupy and defend territory against an empire of 60 million people. Instead, create chaos. Destroy confidence. Make the impossible seem real. They lay out 3 potential strategies. Option A, direct assault. March straight to Rome, breach the gates, fight through to the Senate and Emperor. Bold, decisive, completely hopeless. They'd be surrounded by thousands of guards and soldiers. Even with superior weapons, they'd be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. And they can't just start massacring Romans indiscriminately. The goal is regime change, not genocide. Option B. Insurgency. Arm the slaves, peasants, and oppressed populations. Build a resistance movement from the ground up. It worked in Afghanistan, Vietnam, and countless other conflicts. But those insurgencies took years to develop, required extensive local knowledge, needed vast quantities of weapons to distribute, and still often failed. The Marines have maybe a week before disease and attrition degrade their effectiveness. Rome controls the roads, the grain supply, the information flow, and most importantly, the fear. No time to build trust. No common language to communicate effectively. No maps detailed enough to navigate the political landscape. Option C. Shock campaign. Surgical strikes combined with psychological warfare. Hit key targets, disappear, repeat. Burn villas, destroy aqueducts, ambush convoys, light false signal fires, flood grain storage, take down tax collectors. Make Rome believe something supernatural is stalking them. Use thermal sights, drones, and modern tactics to stay invisible while ancient Rome bleeds from 1,000 cuts. Not to win battles, but to break the system's confidence in itself. They choose option C. The first target is Forum P, a small but strategically important hub about 40 kilometers southeast of Rome, along the Via Appia, the Appian Way, one of Rome's most vital roads. It's a postal station, a rest stop for travelers, a place where official messages are copied and dispatched. Taking it out will disrupt communications. The Marines move at 0200 hours, 3 hours after midnight. 15 men from Bravo team, moving in complete silence through the darkness. They cover the distance in 4 hours, using night vision to navigate terrain that would be impassable for Romans in the dark. They bypass 2 Roman patrol camps. Entirely thermal scopes pick up the heat signatures of sleeping soldiers from 500 meters away. Forum P is barely defended. 4 board guards, a stable master, a handful of sleeping travelers. At 0300 hours, the Marines ghost into position. 2 sentries are taken down with suppressed rifle fire, the sound no louder than a book dropping on a table. The other 2 guards don't even know their companions are dead until Marines are standing behind them, hands clamped over mouths, knives drawn. The stable burns. 20 horses scream and bolt into the night. Official documents, tax records, military orders, personal correspondence are gathered and burned. The courier station is ransacked, message tablets smashed, wax seals destroyed. Total time on target, 12 minutes. By the time the Marines slip back into the darkness, Forum P is chaos. But there are no witnesses who saw what actually happened. Just fire, confusion, and dead guards with strange wounds. By sunrise, Rome hears nothing. No messenger arrives. No signal fires warn of attack. That silence spreads like poison through the Roman administrative apparatus. The next night, they hit a tax collector's villa 15 kilometers west of the marshes. The man is wealthy, corrupt, hated by the local peasants. His villa sits on a hill, surrounded by olive groves. Perfect target for psychological warfare. Charlie team handles this one. They approach from the east at midnight, moving through the olive trees like ghosts. 2 guards patrol the grounds. Thermal imaging spots them easily. Suppressed shots drop both men. The Marines breach the villa through a side entrance, using a pry bar to quietly force a wooden door. Inside, the tax collector is asleep in a second-floor bedroom. He wakes to find 5 masked figures standing over his bed, strange black weapons pointed at his face. One Marine speaks Latin basic phrases, practiced but effective. Move and die. Stay silent and live. The man pisses himself but nods frantically. They bind him with zip ties, gag him, and leave him on the floor. Then they ransack the place. Coins are distributed later to local peasants, creating rumors of divine redistribution. Tax documents are burned in the courtyard. The villa's wine stores are dumped out, mixed with olive oil, and set ablaze. By the time the Marines withdraw, the entire hilltop is burning bright enough to be seen from the Via Appia. Word spreads fast. The next morning, locals whisper, "The gods have judged him. Demons came in the night. Justice from the shadows." The following night, the Marines execute something even more unsettling. Using handheld signal flares, they light up 3 separate hilltops in a triangle formation around Rome, locations carefully chosen to be visible from the city as watchtowers, but impossibly far apart for a single group to reach in one night. Roman tower guards light signal fires in response, following standard protocol. Then they wait for the reply signals that will clarify the message. But nothing comes. The hilltop fires just burn for 20 minutes and go dark. No patterns, no codes, no further communication. From Rome's perspective, someone just announced, "We are everywhere," and then vanished. Confusion metastasizes into fear. The Romans respond the only way they know how. They organize. More scouts, more roadblocks, more guard posts. Patrols double, then triple. But does it help? Not really. The Marines stick to back routes that don't appear on any Roman map. They cross the Via Appia only at night, using thermal scopes to identify and avoid sentries. Along the way, they plant false trails, broken branches arranged to suggest camps, bootprints leading nowhere, discarded equipment that looks out of place but doesn't reveal the truth. Roman patrols end up chasing ghosts, exhausting themselves pursuing leads that evaporate. On the 5th night, they escalate. Target: Aqua Appia, one of Rome's 11 aqueducts, built over 3 centuries earlier, and still carrying thousands of gallons of water daily from springs in the Alban Hills to the city itself. The aqueduct is Rome's lifeblood. Without water, the city dies. The Marines identify a vulnerable point: a stone bridge carrying the water channel across a small valley about 8 kilometers from Rome's Urals. The structure is ancient, sturdy, but not built to withstand modern explosives. Alpha Team takes .15 Marines, moving fast through the night. They reach the aqueduct at 0230 hours. 2 Roman guards patrol the bridge, walking circuits every 15 minutes. Thermal imaging tracks them perfectly. When both guards are on the far side of the bridge, separated by 200 meters, the Marines move. Sergeant Carver and a demolition specialist scale the stone supports. They place 4 one-pound blocks of C4 plastic explosive on the main support column, spacing them carefully for maximum structural damage. Detonation cord links them. A remote trigger radio-controlled foolproof is attached. Total time rigging the explosives: 6 minutes. The guards never notice. The Marines pull back 300 meters and hunker down behind a ridge. Carver clicks the radio detonator twice. The night erupts. A sharp crack splits the air, followed immediately by a low rumble as stone grinds against stone. The support column fragments. The entire bridge section tilts, groans, and collapses into the valley with a thunderous crash. Water gushes from the broken channel, flooding the ravine below. Gravity does the rest. Water that was flowing toward Rome now pours uselessly into the countryside. By morning, thousands of Romans wake to find their fountains dry, their public baths empty. Panic spreads through the city's poorest districts, where access to water is already limited. The Senate convenes an emergency session. Who did this? How? Barbarians? An internal conspiracy? The Praetorian Guard has no answers. Neither do the engineers. The aqueduct was simply destroyed, perfectly, impossibly. The 6th night brings the boldest strike yet. Intelligence from drone surveillance has identified a small Praetorian convoy moving north along the coastal road toward Rome, likely carrying dispatches or personnel from a southern port. 6 horsemen, 2 supply carts, minimal escort. They'll pass through Ardea, a small coastal town about 35 kilometers south of Rome, just after midnight. Bravo and Charlie teams set up an ambush 2 kilometers south of Ardea, at a point where the road narrows between rocky outcroppings. Perfect kill zone. The Marines position themselves on both sides of the road, concealed in the rocks, weapons trained on the approaching convoy. At 0045 hours, the convoy appears. The lead rider carries a torch, casting flickering light that ruins his night vision. The other riders follow in formation, completely unaware they're being watched through thermal scopes from 60 meters away. Staff Sergeant Ramirez waits until the convoy is perfectly centered in the kill zone. Then he whispers into his radio, "All teams, execute." 2 M320 grenade launchers thump simultaneously. The first 40 millimeters high explosive grenade detonates directly beneath the led horse, killing the animal instantly and throwing the rider 10 feet. The second grenade hits the front supply cart, exploding in a spray of wood splinters and fire. Before the echo even fades, 15 M4 rifles open up. The suppressed weapons sound like rapid snaps, not the thunderous roar of traditional firearms, which makes the ambush even more terrifying. Death, arriving silently from the darkness. 10 seconds. That's how long it takes. Every rider is down. Every horse is dead or fleeing. The supply carts are burning. No survivors, no witnesses. The Marines sweep through the carnage quickly, recovering official documents from the saddlebags, then melt back into the darkness. By the time Roman reinforcements arrive from Ardea an hour later, moving cautiously with torches, there's nothing left but bodies and questions. What kind of weapon kills from a distance with no arrows, no javelins, no sound? What force can destroy an entire Praetorian convoy in seconds without leaving a single clue? The massacre at Ardea is the breaking point. Word reaches Rome by midday on the 7th day. The Senate erupts. Some senators demand the legions be recalled immediately, from Britannia, from Judea, from Germania, from the Danube frontier. But those legions are weeks away, maybe months. Messages have to travel by rider or ship. The Via Appia is compromised, stations burned, couriers missing. The only reliable route left is a fast boat along the coast, and even that takes days just to reach the nearest major port. Rome's only immediate defense is the Praetorian Guard, 8 to 10,000 elite soldiers, the emperor's personal protection force, trained to handle urban riots and political threats. They've never faced anything like this. How do you fight an enemy that sees in the dark, kills from impossible distances, and vanishes without a trace? Praetorian prefects issue orders, more patrols, fortified checkpoints, curfews, but it's all reactive. They're fighting shadows. The city begins to fracture psychologically. Senators flee to country estates. Merchants close their shops. Grain shipments from the countryside slow, and stock farmers are afraid to travel the roads. Water shortages continue. Strange fires appear on distant hilltops every night. Rumors spread like wildfire. An army of demons has come to judge Rome. The gods themselves have turned against the empire. A new civilization, more advanced than any known, has arrived to conquer. And through it all, the Marines watch from the swamp. Drones circle overhead, feeding intelligence. Batteries are recharged. Rations are carefully consumed. The fevers haven't hit yet, but they will soon. Sergeant Carver knows they're running out of time. One more strike. One final blow to decapitate Roman leadership and break the empire's ability to respond. The target is the imperial palace on Palatine Hill. Not just a building, it's the symbolic and administrative heart of Rome. Emperor Trajan himself is far away in the east, leading campaigns in Parthia. But his regents are here. Senior senators who govern in his absence. Military commanders. The Praetorian prefect who commands the guard. Take them out, and Rome loses its ability to coordinate a response. It's an insane plan. The palace is the most heavily defended location in the empire. Hundreds of guards. Stone walls. Multiple checkpoints. Attacking it should be impossible. But the Marines have one advantage the Romans can't anticipate. Modern infiltration techniques combined with ancient infrastructure that was never designed to repel this kind of assault. At 0200 hours on the 8th night, the entire platoon moves. All 45 Marines. They leave the swamp in complete silence, moving northwest toward Rome. Using drone surveillance, they navigate through the countryside, avoiding every patrol, every guard post, every set of eyes. 12 kilometers covered in 4 hours without being spotted once. At 0600 hours, they reach the Tiber River south of the city. A small fishing boat, acquired 3 nights earlier and hidden in the reeds, waits for them. The Marines row upstream in complete darkness, using night vision to navigate. No lights, no talking, just the soft splash of oars and the current's whisper. The Tiber flows directly through Rome. Ancient sewers and drainage tunnels connect to the river part of the Cloaca Maxima system, built 500 years earlier. The Romans used these tunnels to flush waste into the river, which means they're accessible from the water if you know where to look. The Marines find what they're researching for, a rusted iron grate covering a drainage outlet about 200 meters south of Palatine Hill. Behind that grate is a tunnel that, according to the architectural intelligence they've pieced together from drone surveillance and captured documents, leads directly beneath the palace complex. Sergeant Liu places a small block of C4 against the grate's hinges, covered with wet rags to muffle the blast. The explosion is a dull thump, barely audible over the river's noise. The grate swings open. One by one, the Marines slip inside. The tunnel is exactly as horrible as expected, knee-deep in filth. The stench is overwhelming, even through cloth face coverings. The ceiling is low enough that they have to crouch. But it's a way in. For 20 minutes, they wade through the darkness, following the tunnel as it climbs gradually upward. Finally, they reach a junction, a storage room carved into the rock beneath the palace kitchens. A wooden door, old but solid, blocks their path. 2 Marines carefully remove the door's hinges, not breaking it down, just lifting it silently off its frame and setting it aside. Now they're inside. The time is 0715 hours. The palace is beginning to wake. Kitchen slaves will start preparing the morning meal soon. Guards are changing shifts. But for a few precious minutes, there's a lull the gap between night watch and day watch where alertness is lowest. The Marines split into 3 fire teams. Alpha Team, led by Carver, will clear the kitchens and secure the ground floor. Bravo Team, under Ramirez, will take the central stairwell and push toward the administrative offices. Charlie Team, with Liu, will head directly for the Regent's chambers on the 2nd floor. They move fast, silent, lethal. Alpha Team emerges from the storage room into the kitchens. 2 slaves are already there, starting fires in the ovens. They look up, see men in strange clothing carrying strange weapons, and freeze. 1 Marine steps forward, finger to lips universal gesture for silence. Zip ties secure their hands. Cloth gags cover their mouths. The slaves are moved into a corner, alive but neutralized. Bravo Team reaches the main hallway. 3 Praetorian guards are standing at a checkpoint, talking quietly. They never see it coming. 2 flashbang grenades roll across the marble floor. The guards look down, confused. What are these strange metal objects? And then the world turns white and sound becomes pain. Flashbangs are designed to disorient without killing. The magnesium-based explosive creates a blinding flash of over 1 million candela and a sound blast exceeding 170 decibels. In the enclosed stone hallway, the effect is devastating. The guards collapse, hands over their eyes, ears ringing, completely incapacitated. Marines move past them, zip-tying hands and feet, ensuring they're no threat. 2 more guards come running from a side corridor, drawn by the sound. They round the corner directly into suppressed rifle fire. Both drop instantly. No time for mercy now. They're deep inside the palace, and every second counts. Charlie team reaches the regent's chambers. The door is heavy oak, barred from inside. Sergeant Liu doesn't waste time. A breaching charge, a small linear explosive, is placed against the hinges and lock. Reaching, Liu whispers into his radio. Half a second later, boom. The door blasts inward, hinges shattered, bar broken. Marines flood through, weapons up, laser sights sweeping the room. 5 men in sleeping robes jolt awake in beds. 2 reach for weapons. The Praetorian prefect, identifiable by the gold torque around his neck, grabs for the gladius hanging on the wall. 1 suppressed shot hits him center mass. He drops like a puppet with cut strings. The other regents freeze, hands raised. They're zip-tied, gagged, and secured within 30 seconds. 1 elderly senator tries to speak, probably to plead or negotiate. A Marine shakes his head firmly and tightens the gag. Not now. No talking. In an adjoining room, 4 more Praetorian guards hear the commotion and burst through a connecting door. They charge with shields raised, gladi-drawn brave men doing their duty. But courage means nothing against modern tactics. Flashbangs detonate at their feet. In the disorienting aftermath, suppressed rifle fire cuts them down. Shields clatter to marble floors. Swords never swing. Total time inside the palace, 14 minutes. 17 guards neutralized, 11 captured, 6 killed. The regents secured. No alarms raised, no reinforcements alerted. The impossible has happened. 45 Marines have infiltrated the heart of the Roman Empire and decapitated its government. By sunrise, the palace is in absolute chaos. Servants discover the carnage. Slaves spread word. Praetorian guards rush to their commanders, only to find them dead or missing. The Senate, preparing for its morning session, instead receives the impossible news. The regents have been captured in their sleep by an unknown force. Rome has fallen. Not to an army, not to a siege, but to fear, precision, and technology so advanced it might as well be magic. The Marines don't stay in the palace. They can't hold it not against thousands of reinforcements who will arrive within hours. Instead, they secure the most important documents they can find: maps, troop dispositions, diplomatic correspondence, and withdraw the same way they entered. Back through the sewers, back to the boat, back down the Tiber before the city fully wakes. By midday, they're back in the Pontine marshes, exhausted but intact. The captured regents are bound and guarded. The intelligence haul is extraordinary. But Sergeant Carver knows the truth. They can't hold power. Not for long. The supplies are nearly gone. 3 MREs per Marine meant 9 days of food maximum. They're on day 8. Ammunition is critically low. Many Marines are down to their last magazine. Batteries are dying despite constant recharging efforts. And the first cases of fever have started malaria from the mosquito-infested swamp, exactly as predicted. 2 Marines are already running high temperatures, shaking with chills. If Rome manages to get a message to Emperor Trajan, or to the legions stationed across the empire, reinforcements will come. Weeks away, maybe, but they'll come. And when they do, 45 men with bolt-action rifles and grenades won't hold out against 20,000 professional soldiers. By sunrise, the palace is in absolute chaos. Servants discover the carnage. Slaves spread word. Praetorian guards rush to their commanders, only to find them dead or missing. The Senate, preparing for its morning session, instead receives the impossible news. The regents have been captured in their sleep by an unknown force. Rome has fallen, not to an army, not to a siege, but to fear, precision, and technology so advanced it might as well be magic. The Marines don't stay in the palace. They can't hold it not against thousands of reinforcements who will arrive within hours. Instead, they secure the most important documents they can find: maps, troop dispositions, diplomatic correspondence, and withdraw the same way they entered. Back through the sewers, back to the boat, back down the Tiber before the city fully wakes. By midday, they're back in the Pontine marshes, exhausted but intact. The captured regions are bound and guarded. The intelligence haul is extraordinary. But Sergeant Carver knows the truth. They can't hold power. Not for long. The supplies are nearly gone. 3 MREs per Marine meant 9 days of food maximum there on day 8. Ammunition is critically low. Many Marines are down to their last magazine. Batteries are dying despite constant recharging efforts. And the first cases of fever have started malaria from the mosquito-infested swamp, exactly as predicted. 2 Marines are already running high temperatures, shaking with chills. If Rome manages to get a message to Emperor Trajan or to the legions stationed across the empire, reinforcements will come. Weeks away, maybe, but they'll come. And when they do, 45 men with bolt-action rifles and grenades won't hold out against 20,000 professional soldiers. But the job is already done. The Marine platoon didn't need to occupy Rome. They needed to break it, and they have. The captured regions are paraded before terrified senators in a controlled display proof that the old order has fallen. The Marines install a puppet governor, a minor senator ambitious enough to take the risk and pragmatic enough to understand his position depends entirely on the men with the impossible weapons. Orders are issued in the puppet's name. Stand down the Praetorian Guard, open the grain stores, restore water to the city, send messages to the provinces that a transition of power has occurred. Some orders are obeyed, others are ignored. It doesn't matter. The psychological damage is permanent. Within a week, the Marines are gone. They disappear back into the swamp one night and are never seen again. Some say they died of fever. Others claim they were spirits who simply returned to whatever realm they came from. A few whisper that they sailed north or east or south to conquer other lands. The truth that they died slowly in the marshes, succumbing to malaria and infected wounds, their bodies never recovered, doesn't matter. What matters is the footprint they left. Rome fractures. Governors in distant provinces see opportunity. If 5 regions could be captured in a single night, no one is safe. If Rome itself can fall to shadows, then what is the empire but an illusion? Ambitious generals make their moves. Rival claimants to the throne emerge. When Trajan finally returns from the east months later, he finds an empire in chaos, held together by threads. The debates rage for years. Were the attackers human or divine? A civilization from beyond the known world? Demons sent by angry gods? Magicians from Egypt? Warriors from the Far East with unknown alchemy? No one knows. The few survivors who actually saw the Marines describe weapons that threw thunder, lights that blinded like the sun, and men who moved like ghosts through solid walls. Rome never fully recovers. The psychological blow is too deep. An empire built on the certainty of its own invincibility has been shown to be vulnerable. And once that illusion shatters, it can never be fully restored. So could a single U.S. Marine platoon actually conquer ancient Rome? Technically, yes. For a moment. With perfect execution, overwhelming technological advantage, and a willingness to commit to asymmetric warfare, 45 Marines could absolutely decapitate Roman leadership and trigger systemic collapse. But they couldn't hold power. Not long term. Ammunition runs out, batteries die. Disease takes its toll. Even with superior weapons and tactics, 45 men can't garrison a city of 1 million, can't patrol hundreds of miles of roads, can't suppress a population of 60 million across 3 continents. What they could do, and this is the critical insight, is change the trajectory of history. By breaking the Roman chain of command at precisely the right moment, they could create a power vacuum that others would rush to fill. The empire wouldn't vanish overnight, but it would transform, fracture, evolve into something different. The Marines' legacy wouldn't be measured in territory held or battles won. It would be measured in fear propagated, in systems disrupted, in the impossible made real, even if just for 8 nights. And sometimes, that's enough to change the world.